If you're watching this, chances are you've heard of the two Nintendo World Championship cards. The grey cards were given to the finalists at the Nintendo World Championships 1990 event, and the gold ones were sent out as part of a Nintendo Power Magazine competition. These are infamous for being the most valuable and sought after cards in existence, and both are extremely rare. Now, why am I mentioning these? Well, there were 3 games playable on those cards: Super Mario Bros., Tetris, and the Nintendo World Championship card. Yeah, I wish. Rad Racer, released in 1987 on the Nintendo Entertainment System by Square. Squaresoft, yeah, they were just known as Square back then. Now, is this the true first Final Fantasy? Well, let's pop it in and find out. So you start off with the car select screen. You have 2 choices, a Ferrari 328 or a generic Formula 1 car. After that, you are shown your route and it's time to race. Rad Racer takes you through 8 treacherous courses, including the LA Night Strip, San Francisco Highway, and the Grand Canyon, to name a few. Rad Racer's hairpin curves, daredevil turns, and realistic action will bring home all the fun and excitement of real racing. Think you're up to it? Well, then start your engines, because it's Rad Racer. You have a choice of 3 radio tracks, but we'll get to that later. You may notice a similarity to Outrun, and there certainly is, but I do feel like Square's done enough to set itself apart from the Sega Classic. You can press up on the D-pad, which will give you a boost, and that is vital, since the time limit here is fairly strict, but obviously only use the boost when you have a straight path ahead of you. Boosting on corners will certainly lead to vehicular tumbling. There are other cars on the road, and they can be a nuisance to avoid, but they're not as aggressive as most races from the time. Now, still on those races, you're not technically racing them, you're actually racing the clock, and in a somewhat generous offering, Square's programmed it so when you run out of time, you will slowly come to a stop, not instantly. So there is a real chance that you could hit the checkpoint after you've lost your time and then regain it again. Ah, damn. Running out of time. Hang on. Oh, there's a checkpoint there. Come on, keep going, keep going, keep going. Yes, yes. Back in the race. Back. Once the race is over, the game will show you how far you got on the map. So, on looks and sounds, visually, it's very impressive. Fast moving, and great looking skyboxes and backgrounds. I get a real enduro feel here, when it changes the time of day as you get further along in your route. There's also this gorgeous night driving section that is seriously just so rad. Something odd, but more common than you'd think, is that this title actually has a 3D effect built in. So, if you press select, it activates the 3D mode, and you actually need the old school red and blue glasses for it, if you remember those. So of course I've got a pair of these just laying around. Honestly, it just looks better without it. Nice little addition though. On music, it's retro racing greatness. As stated earlier, you get 3 tracks, and you can access the radio by pressing down on the D-pad. All of the tracks are catchy and really help sell the atmosphere in my opinion. Not only that, but all 3 were composed by the legendary Nobuo Uematsu, who has scored most of the Final Fantasy franchise and is definitely one of my favourite composers of all time. So, once again, I never played this one as a kid, but I do remember buying it from eBay when I was trying to collect all the Squaresoft games. If you're curious about the gold cart I showed earlier, it's actually from Nintendo's World Championship Switch game, the Deluxe Edition, that came out mid last year. It has mini versions of NES games, retrofitted with unique challenges, time attacks, boss rushes, and lots of other creative features. I was going to get it anyway, but the fact that the deluxe set came with a replica gold cart, obviously I had to have it. So as for pricing, a cart will run you roughly 100k. So carts are about 20 bucks, and completes, looking around 50. Possibly more if they include the 3D classes. So, that was Rad Racer. Square's attempted a racing game before chocobos at the Gold Saucer were a thing. Now, it's a game that plays really well, despite the fairly strict time limit, and it's got a real good retro feel to it. Yeah, so, having said that, it will be pressing select and getting out of the 3D mode before the migraine sets in to find a place on my shelf. Now, as you know, in retrospect, there are no bad games, but there are bad investments. Instead of getting one of these, you're probably best to keep paying your mortgage or your rent. Just an opinion. See you later.